By default, your computer will come with a bunch of fonts installed on it. Some of those come from the operating system, some come from programs like Microsoft Word, and other fonts will come from Adobe Creative Cloud itself. But as a designer, there's going to be a point where you're going to want to move past those defaults because those fonts that are on everyone's computer get really overused. And as a designer, if you're using the same fonts that everyone else is using, it's hard to find your own voice. So a good way to expand your library is through Typekit, which is part of the Adobe ecosystem. So if you have a Creative Cloud membership, you already have a basic membership to Typekit as well. You can access Typekit by going to the character panel and clicking on the font drop-down menu, and then clicking on this button that says Add Fonts from Typekit. This will open up a browser window with the Typekit website. You'll have to log in using your Creative Cloud password and login, and then you're welcome to just search through all the fonts that are on here, including using all the filters on this side, to find fonts that you're interested in. When you find a font you like, you can click on that font to open up the web page for that font, and then either sync individual weights or sync all the weights at once. So after a little bit of loading, it's going to tell me that I've synced this font for Cuesta Grande. And you can see that by default, you are allotted 100 fonts that you can sync. But I've already synced way more than that, and it hasn't stopped me yet, so I just continue to sync more and more. I'm not really sure what the limit is of that. So don't worry too much about the 100 limit. Although you can always unsync fonts when you're done using them, so it's not really a big deal. Once you click sync, you should be able to find that font back in Illustrator. So if I select this and go back to the character panel, and then scroll down to the cues, it should be there. Sometimes it'll take a little bit of time to sync, so be patient if it doesn't initially show up. But there it is, Cuesta Grande, and the weights are there as well, so I can go ahead and use those for whatever I need. So that's a really good way to add some fonts. Let's look at a second way. The last resource I want to show you is fonts.google.com, which is completely free, and the fonts on here are actually really well designed, so it's a great resource. There's also a bunch of filters, just like Typekit, that you can use. And if you scroll down through here and find something that you like, click this little plus button. That'll add all these different fonts to a little selection. And then when you click on this box, you can go to Customize to make sure to add all the weights. By default, it's only going to give you a few weights, but you probably want all of them. So just go ahead and click all the weights. And once you're ready, you can click this little download button, and that will download a zip file with all those font files inside. If you're on a Mac, you are going to want to unzip that font file, and then inside the folder, go ahead and open that up, and then select all the fonts that you downloaded and double click them to install them in FontBook. So since these are all part of the same family, they've all loaded into one window here. And then when I click install font, it's going to go ahead and install it. In this case, a little font validation window popped up, and that's because I actually already have this font installed on this computer. So it has this little yellow exclamation point. When I scroll down, you'll see that it's telling me that this is a duplicate font, and it's asking me whether I want to install this anyways. So if I click select all fonts and install checked, it'll install that again. But since I already have this font installed, I'm just going to not do that. On Windows, the process is pretty similar. You're going to want to unzip those font files, and then right-click on the font and click Install. You can also go to the control panel and manage your fonts in there.